Have you ever seen someone die while Petri Alt-F4ing? They'll swear up and down that they Alt-F4'd instantly, but they died anyways. So, were they lying? Have you ever Petri Alt-F4'd and died? Well, in this video, I'm going to clear up all the confusion. I carried out an experiment to test the safety of Petri Alt-F4, and I have results that I think you will really want to see. First, let's start off by explaining what Petri Alt-F4 even is. In Hardcore WoW, we use a consumable item called a Flask of Petrification, or Petri for short, to remove ourselves from dangerous situations. It makes you completely immune to almost everything in the game for 60 seconds. Players have cleverly paired this up with pressing Alt-F4 immediately after using a Petri, since Alt-F4 usually removes your character from the world after around 50 seconds. Combining the two means that you can escape most any situation. However, here lies the issue, because there are rumors that sometimes it can take longer than 50 seconds, and your Petri can expire while your game is closed, leaving you to die. So I decided to test this. To do this, I Alt-F4'd under various different circumstances, and I measured how long it took for my character to leave the world. I started off with very low latency and ideal network conditions, and I gradually increased the latency and worsened the network conditions, and measured how it impacted the time it took for my character to leave the world. My setup for this was two accounts. One observer, who would stay under low latency and ideal network conditions the entire time. The other was the subject, who would experience variable latency and network conditions. I would vary these conditions by running the subject account through a virtual machine, in which I set up the Clumsy program. Clumsy allows you to artificially simulate lag, and in this experiment I specifically used the functions to increase delay, cause packet loss, and limit bandwidth. Here is what it looks like when I crank Clumsy up quite a bit. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So first, I started with a control trial, where I left the subject under ideal network conditions. This meant low latency around 40 milliseconds, minimal packet loss, and high bandwidth. The results were about expected. The time for my character to leave the world was near 50 seconds each time, with no severe outliers. Then, I upped the latency by 250 milliseconds, and added a packet loss of 10%. Once again, the time to leave the world was near 50 seconds with no outliers. I cranked it up to 500 milliseconds and 20% packet loss, and still, no change. I started seeing a difference after I increased the latency to 1 second and the packet loss to 40%. Suddenly, the median time to leave the world had become 53 seconds, which is a bit higher, but still nothing of concern. I cranked up the latency to 2.5 seconds and introduced a bandwidth limit of 10 kilobytes per second. And here's what happened. One of my trials took 59 seconds to remove my character from the world. This was really bad. This means that you only had 1 second to Alt-F4 after Petriing in this situation. I didn't stop here though, because although 59 seconds is very bad, I wouldn't be satisfied until I found a trial that went above 60 seconds. So I cranked the latency up to 3.5 seconds and reduced the bandwidth limit to 5 kilobytes per second. And this trial I will play in full and let you observe the result for yourself. Yeah, that was about 69 seconds before my character was removed from the world. This was much worse than what I had thought had been possible. If you're hit with one of these while you're Petri Alt-F4ing, you're dead. So, what is the takeaway? Is Petri Alt-F4 safe? Well, we now know for a fact that it can take longer than 60 seconds to remove your character from the world. But this happened under pretty severe network conditions. The chance that this happens is likely dramatically lower if you have ideal network conditions. The truth is, there is no method of Petriing out that does not come with its own risks. I have seen many people die using different methods. It's up to you to decide what is appropriate in every situation. Personally, I will always opt to double Petri as my plan A, and only Petri Alt-F4 as a plan B. Here are the full results of my trials. Anyways, I hope this has been helpful. I've seen a lot of people debate whether or not your Petri Alt-F4 can fail, and now we have definitive proof that it can. I hope you've enjoyed. Take care and stay safe.